Hi, Anthem with Introduction to Aging video journal. So, wellness and health is expressed in the book as expressed in functional, environmental, psychological, spiritual, social, and biological dimensions of the human experience within the context of culture. I take that to mean that culture encompasses how the social, spiritual, environmental, and psychological dimensions will ultimately influence functional dimension and how the biological dimension will express itself and even pass on certain aspects to its offspring. So how the body functions and how the biology expresses itself and how well it adapts to its environment is can influence whether we socialize or withdraw from our environment. Also, if the environment or spiritual aspects are not supported, then that will further isolate the individual. And if these dimensions play a role in individual wellness and health as well as population, this is influence of how the individual wellness and wealth, but also how the population as a whole will adapt because we need each other. Our environment, our biology, all of it needs other humans to interact to keep our spirits up. The next question is discuss the 3 levels of prevention. So I know that primary is prevention of occurrence or worsening of a chronic disease, right? So we are healthy diet, immunization, never smoke or stop smoking if we can catch ahead of it, exercise regularly, and stress management. Secondary is early detection. So if we detect it early or we prevent the chronic disease from exacerbating further, such as health screenings, mammograms, seeking out care in a timely manner, don't push things out to the last minute. And then you have tertiary treatment or rehabilitation for acute or chronic conditions, such as participating in rehabilitation, create a course of treatment, so we can move us back into preventative measures rather than dealing with the aftermath of chronic disease. So discuss the promotion of healthy aging. Healthy aging is more holistic on a continuum. So at one end there is either absence of disease or the presence of controlled chronic diseases with minimum damaging effects. And the other end of the continuum reflects acute episodes or multiple concurrent conditions resulting in death, but with minimized suffering, in which suffering to the extent of possible. I think what this means is that you have this spectrum of healthy aging. On the good side is you are healthy and you're moving and you're active and you keep up with your own health and you're with it. Your cognitive impairment is minimal, but you're working. There may be some minimal suffering. You may never be a 0 out of 10, but you may be a functional 4 out of 10 because we're managing it ahead of time through yoga, through expression, to stopping smoking. And then the other end, you have like hospice, but a functional hospice, like somebody who has cancer or the extent of like hepatitis C, erosion of the liver, but can still sit on a transplant list because even though they're old in age, they're predominantly healthy. The liver hasn't taken toll on other organs. It's minimal suffering, or the suffering is to the extent of possible moving around in the body. With the body that you're given without having to like extensive surgeries. And so that's healthy aging as opposed to allowing the person and just writing it off as this is old age. This is what happens. The question 2, what factors are the most significant influences of health and aging? The concept of health and aging from a wellness perspective is defined by each individual and adapts over time. So the subcomponents of wellness model, particularly applicable to healthy aging, are functional independence, self-care management of chronic illness and disability. So the ability to care for yourself. Diabetes, you're keeping up with your insulin. You're not just writing it off. You are actually taking active measures into chemotherapy or taking your HIV antiretrovirals. The positive outlook, you keep it up. There's no failure to thrive. You're actually keeping up with your meds and actually doing the work of getting your insulin. Personal growth, working on yourself, continue to keep working out, taking at least that hour 150 minutes a week to just kind of do something active to keep the muscles going and from atrophying. And again, which encompasses in the activities that promote one's health, just keeping up and staying active on yourself. Be Jane Fonda in her 90s, you know. Question 3, looking to the future, consider which decade you expect will be your last, or at least 70 years old. So let's see here, we're in 2020, so I'm in my 40s, so 30, 50, 20, 40, 60. I want to say I want to be well into my 90s, which I believe is 2060. Yeah. So I predict that I will be lasting my decades in my 90s, possibly hundreds. That's my goal, because I'm defined by better eating habits. I have given an opportunity to diet in a different way and cut out things that are not necessary for my body, like breads and sugars and fried food, and that has reduced issues with pain or discomfort that I've been having, and it's kept me healthy to the point where I feel like I can continue this. You know, I even were to incorporate an occasional fried food or bread, I can still exist on a healthy level. But encourages life. It also encourages my life as an independent with purposeful work, to making sure that I keep working. I do know that studying centenarians for a while now, the idea that there's people living to 100 years old because they have a purposeful life. They keep working in their garden, they keep feeding their family, they keep doing something to bring back something, so they're constantly contributing. When we start taking away that aspect of people who are in healthy aging, we start to keep preventing their body from actually doing what it naturally needs to do and keeping them alive. The struggle keeps them alive, you know? So it allows me to conduct my ADLs and IADLs within my home, and allows me to keep contributing to my family work and to my own personal home environment. So in the decade 2070, I plan to be well into my 90s, and the last decade of my life, but I prefer it to be in my hundreds. Provide support from the textbook or other resources to justify what you believe. Okay, yeah. So currently work 3 to 4 days per week, and with my school time taking up most of my free time, I dedicate it to a higher degree, and I believe that higher pay bracket will allow some relaxation and be able to make the choice of whether staying 3 to 4 days a week or taking on a second job and saving up some money and get a nice nest egg, so that my 50s and 60s will actually be more relaxed time and just pursuit of higher education rather than working to just pay the bills, which would allow me to go back to 40 weeks in only 3 days. You know, that's a full-time job, 12-hour shifts, and then I have the week to kind of work on myself and my health. This also makes me believe I can dedicate at least an hour to hour and a half a week. You know, if it's just 45-minute workout after work, just such stretching or working at the Herman Park, which I've been doing, has kept me healthy and up to date. I also decided to go back to the book in chapter 19, Toward Healthy Aging, Activity and Exercise by Tui. It also suggests that 150 minutes of exercise prevents buildup of excess sugar, fat from calorie consumption, and is to exerted energy ratio, meaning that you're burning just as much as you're taking in those little cheat days, and it's not something you have to worry about. They're actually something that can actually benefit your body. And also I began going back to Forks Over Knives idea of more vegetables and protein from vegetables rather than animal products. Actually can prevent a lot of unnecessary aging effects on the body, harshness, because red meat, what it does to the heart and the bloodstream, and what breads do to the body. They're unnecessary, but they're delicious. So that has changed my concept, and I believe that if I continue on with this, I would live well into my hundreds, is my aspect, which also keeps me minimizing my consumption of animal products and removing bread, fried food, you know, and then keeping that within my family so I can keep this thing going. Also, I've never started smoking, which lowers my risk of immune system deficits and promotes immune potency, right? So if I never started smoking and I keep that out of my environment, I believe our book, Toward Healthy Aging, expresses lower my risk of comorbidities and health risks that increase weight, poor diet, and excess animal products and processed foods tends to have on my body. So if I can eliminate these things and continue them, even if I have moments of weakness, I can still keep my body in the trajectory that it is. And last question, identify the source utilized to support your future state of health. That source would be utilized to support my future state of health, would be myself. Doctors and health care teams can create a plan of action. They can give me all the instructions, but I am the thing that's going to implement it. I'm going to have to retain what they're saying and actually take initiative into my own care, health and care. That's the only way I'm going to make it into my hundreds, is if I do the work, not keep relying on other people to do the work for me. Do the research, stay healthy, shake these people off when I'm at work, and make sure that I keep my body as my primary goal, because it's the only one I'm getting, right? And it prevents risk of atrophy, weakness, and risk of decline. Even the failure to thrive is out the window because I keep me in the front view. All right, thank you.